What's up, everybody? Welcome to All Gas, All Georgia Sports. I am glad you guys are here. I have a jam-packed show for you today. Going to be recapping everything that I can. We're going to talk Falcons football, Bulldogs, fantasy football, and anything else going on in the Georgia sporting world that I feel is noteworthy, and have a boots-on-the-ground Falcons report for you because I was there. Unfortunately, I was there. I had a great time, but it was, it sucked. And it sucked on a lot of different levels. I'll explain that as I get into the recap. But before I do, as always, going to start off the show with a trivia question for you. And speaking of the Falcons, going to be Falcons themed on your question today. And that is, what was the Atlanta Falcons' largest margin of victory in franchise history? What's the most we've ever won by? Largest margin of victory ever for an Atlanta Falcons team. So think about that. This is a deep cut. Deep cut. So, I think only the gnarliest of Falcons fans are going to know this. It's meant to be a difficult one. So we're going to circle back around to that at the end of the episode, as always. But I'm going to go ahead and start the show off with the Falcons game. It's the most fresh thing on my mind of the things we're going to talk about. I was there today. Well, I'm recording this on Sunday. Probably not hearing this until Monday. But went to the game. And, the short version is the Falcons lose 27-26, and the Saints beat them, and they came back in the fourth quarter in dramatic fashion to win the game. The Falcons did have a chance late and had the game-winning field goal blocked. But there's a lot to unpack with those last couple minutes. But just to kind of give you the general experience, I'm going to start with Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I said this in the, when I went to the preseason game, and the staff was great. Stadium looked great. Fans were electric, even in the preseason game, and they did not fail to live up to the hype for the regular season. It was electric at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The energy was off the charts. The Falcons fans, y'all are awesome. You're great. Fans were fantastic, and even getting there a little early, seeing all the tailgating going on, seeing, we had the tailgating going on in the lot that we were in, and then we walked over to the Home Depot lot, like right in front of the stadium. That was electric. They had all sorts of stuff going on there. A lot of great food, a lot of good vibes, Football was back in the air. You could smell it, you could feel it. Everyone was just in a great mood and had some like break dancers in the middle of everything, just getting crazy. It was it was awesome. So super fun just showing up and just kind of feeling that energy again. And even going in, we got in there a little early, went and got a little bit of food. And I got to say, just hats off to the entire Falcons organization. I don't know who made this call. I don't know if it was someone at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, if it was Arthur Blank specifically. I think he had a lot to do with it. But the concessions there are just really affordable. It might not seem like a big deal, but when you're spending all this money for a ticket, which a lot of people do, when you drive, some people are driving. It took us about 37 minutes to get there, which really wasn't bad considering we're coming from Woodstock. And then, but some people are driving from, Cumming, which might take them longer. It takes a while to get down there. And so when you're spending all this money, making the big trip, bringing the kids, when you get there, and if you get just raked from concession prices at any venue, if you're expecting to spend $70 to feed 3 people, like not that much food, that sucks. It's really a drag, especially when you consider that parking is usually like, $10, but you're going to have to walk, 2 miles to get there, or like $50 and you're right there in front. So it's like, there's so many just extra expenses with a game. And if you go to if you go get some swag at the team store and stuff like that, I got a Falcons jersey today. Got a new one. Didn't get any specific one. It just says number 1 and it says Dirty Birds on the back. I'm pretty happy with that actually, because I don't really have for a long time I've felt it to be kind of strange, especially as I've gotten older, to wear a younger man's name on the back of my on my back. But I would still do it. I don't really care that much. But no, this just felt right. It's got a generic Dirty Birds jersey, but that was $130. and then got a hat that was another $40. I mean, you're spending a lot of money when you go to a game. And so the fact that their concessions are cheap, it really is a big deal. It matters. That's not nothing. My wife and I got two like huge plates of like these chicken nachos. We got candy, 2 bottles of water, and I think in total that was like $24. So I mean seriously, that's like I spend less than that when we go to like Chipotle, or my wife hates Chipotle, Zoe's Kitchen. Maybe that's a better reference for her. But yeah, we spend more than that just going out regularly. So when you get a deal to eat when you're at a venue like that, it's pretty cool. So maybe I've spent too much time on the concessions, but I mean, Mercedes-Benz Stadium is just great for that. It's a huge deal, and it's rare. It's really rare to see that at any sporting venue. I haven't been to anyone across the country or any other one in Georgia that's quite like that. So good for you guys. Okay, on to the game, on to what matters. Like I said, energy was electric, and for the first 3 quarters, it was amazing. I mean, now granted, I'll go ahead and say this. I don't know when I was going to start talking about this, but Saints fans are the worst. I hate Saints fans. They show up. I'll give it to them. They travel well. They showed up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium today. Now, I have a couple of theories, in one of which I can verify. So I know for a fact that a lot of them bust their way out here from New Orleans together, because we talked to some of them who said, oh yeah, we got on buses and came out. It's like, Jesus. I think they're just wanting to get out of New Orleans that bad that's just a good excuse, because New Orleans is a terrible place. It's fun to visit. Would hate to live there. Absolutely terrible place to live, in my opinion. Now, I know people probably live there and they love it. It's great. Maybe they're just delusional. But the other reason why I think that a lot of Saints fans were at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is because they all live here. Why? Because New Orleans sucks. And yeah, I'm a little sour right now because they are the most obnoxious fan base, in my opinion, in any sport. I cannot stand Saints fans. They're loud, they're gross, they smell like piss, probably because of all the ammonia in their water supply, because that whole town smells like piss. There's just nothing redeeming to me about a Saints fan. I cannot stand them, and I was sitting next to like 6 of them the whole game. There was this like older, just trashy woman, just them dancing the whole time. She was drunk, and it was not, I know some of you guys out there might be into something like that. This was not something that you would have wanted to see. It was an ugly sight. And yeah, they just suck, man. They just don't stop. They don't shut up. And I don't know. It was yeah, I get torn because I've said before on this podcast that I'm jealous of their energy. I really am. I mean, it is Saints Nation's real. I mean, they throw down. There is no doubt about it. But I hated them today. Hated them. So anyways, yeah, Saints suck. But throughout the game, the first few quarters, it was a little bit back and forth in the first quarter. Saints took a lead, Falcons got it back, but really and truly, the Falcons dominated for most of this game. They had 4 sacks in the first half, which is a big deal considering the Falcons were the last in the league in sacks last year. We got 0 defensive pressure last year. Someone said in a postgame, I think it was Grady Jarrett actually, he got more sacks today than he had all season last year. So yeah, very encouraging to see the defense getting some pressure, to see them just, locking it down. I mean, really the biggest weapon that New Orleans had in the first 3 quarters of this game was Taysom Hill. There's really not an answer for that guy. That guy is a beast. You can't really guard him. I mean, when they bring him in, you know what they're going to do. And he might, hand the ball off. They might do the wildcat thing, either hands it off or takes it. Maybe he has a little, play-in option of what to do. But the guy's an absolute weapon. He broke off a really long run in the first half, I think, and then scored a touchdown shortly thereafter. But he was their highlight in the first, 3 quarters of this game. Other than that, we shut them down big time. Did we get a turnover? Yeah, I think we got a fumble at one point. But defense was very encouraging. And even the offense, I mean, we didn't capitalize in the red zone the way that I think, we should. But Mariota looked good. Cordero Patterson is an absolute beast. As far as, player highlights go, I wrote down, I'm going to get specifically into kind of how they did in a little bit. But my player highlights were Marcus Mariota, Drake London, Cordero Patterson, the defensive line. Notable that Tyler Algier was a healthy scratch from today's game. So that's interesting. I'm going to get into that a little bit later too. But Yeah, there were some serious playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Zacchaeus had a bad fumble. Mariota threw a dime. It was like a 15, 20-yard pass on kind of an in route, and Zacchaeus caught it. It was a huge play. Can't remember if it was a third down play or not, but it was a big deal. And then Zacchaeus fumbled it immediately, and then I think the Saints capitalized on that shortly thereafter. But um, yeah, the offense looked good. They were moving the ball. They were efficient. They kind of had the Saints on their heels for a lot of the game. And so it was nice considering that as the game played out, the Saints fans that I was sitting with, they quieted down. They started sitting down in the seats. They weren't being as loud and as obnoxious, because Saints fans have they just do not care. They will. I'm shocked I didn't see a fight actually because they just get in people's face, man. They suck. So yeah, it was nice to see them quiet for a little while. And the fourth quarter happened, and what happened in the fourth quarter? Well, we were still playing okay. About 11 minutes to go, I think we may have been up 26-10, and the Saints just had this drive, and this is where I started getting nervous. But they had this drive that I don't know the exact number on it. But it felt like it was 3 plays in like 30 seconds, and they scored a touchdown. Long play down the right sideline, from Jameis Winston. It was a long pass. Then he had another long pass, and then a quick but it happened really fast. It was just boom, boom, boom. And it was like, okay, well, that sucks because we were kind of, it was 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And so you're thinking, okay, let's put some pressure on them. Maybe they score, but it should take a while. But the fact that they scored that quickly in like a minute, it was like crap. Like now, and then they converted a 2-point conversion. So then they were within, it was a 1-possession game after that quick. So in like 1 minute, it went from being up 16 points, feeling really good 11 minutes in the fourth quarter, to shit, we're only up 8 points and there's still a lot of game left. So that was a bummer. And then the Falcons couldn't put them away. It was the same old story, the one that we've seen for years now, where, and when we have those leads, you need those long drives to just take the wind out of the other team's sails, and like we just can't seem to get those and haven't for years. Now, I don't want to put too much stock into this because it's game one, okay? I've already gone through my, freak out, but yeah, it's game one. I don't want to put too much stock in it, but it is kind of, I'm sick of seeing that as a fan, when it's like, okay, we need to get at least a few first downs to take some time off the clock, and we couldn't do it. I don't know if that was the drive that Mariota had a fumble. He had a couple of timely fumbles in this game that were not cool. So anyways, the Saints get the ball back. There was maybe, 6 minutes or so, and just another dominating, quick drive down the field where they score a touchdown, and there was a couple minutes left at this point. They failed the 2-point conversion. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, I think we had, in the next drive by us, I'm doing this off of memory too, by the way. I don't have like the game cast in front of me or anything, but shortly thereafter, we drive back down the field and we make them burn all their timeouts. So that was good, but we just couldn't get that first down. And there was one specific series where it was kind of midfield. A field goal was going to win it. So it was like 4th and 1, and it was like Mariota. I think that's when he had that fumble on a third down play where he fumbled the snap, which was just bad. Because if we had gotten that first down, we could have just put him away because they had no timeouts left. But Mariota fumbled the snap. Bad look late when we needed him. And we probably should have gone for it there. But I don't care. I'm like, yeah, you punt it and trust your defense because they have no timeouts. You know what I mean? So it's like people are going to go, oh, why didn't you go for it? I'm like, well, yeah, hindsight's 2020. So in an attempt not to be the armchair quarterback here, I'm going, yeah, I get it. They let the delay of game happen because that 5 yards at that point probably didn't matter too much for the punt for where they were at. But they ended up punting it away. Jameis Winston, credit to him. I mean, he made some really good throws, and he was just quick. And just like the previous 2 drives, he drove them down, clocked it. They kicked a field goal. There was about 20 seconds left. And this is where it got weird because they kicked what ended up being the game-winning field goal, which sucked because Saints fans now were back, fully in action. They were getting loud. They were doing their thing. And we got the ball back, but we just like had these like weird looking plays. It was like they just it did not seem to be confidently driving with 20 seconds left. And I know that's a tall task, to get within field goal range in 20 seconds, but it can be done because we had a couple of timeouts. And then there were some weird plays where like we ended up getting a couple of completions over the middle. And then there was this one completion where there was 2 seconds left. Arthur Smith is screaming, trying to get a timeout. I thought that we were just going to then like try and throw up a Hail Mary. But there was like a personal foul after one of those plays with 2 seconds left. So the ref came out and said, okay, Falcons called a timeout with 2 seconds. And then after that, personal foul, 15 yards or maybe it was 10, I don't know. But it got us within field goal range. It would have been a 63-yard field goal, which would have been a long field goal for Koo, who's electric. I love that dude. When he comes out, everyone starts going, Koo. It's awesome. And he was automatic. But, I was like, are we really about to kick the game winner? I mean, it was like, our energy had come back. The Saints fans that I was sitting with left because they thought they were going to win. So they're like, let's get out of here because it's about to get sketch. And so it was just, I was unencumbered by any Saints nonsense. And so I was like, I'm about to witness the game-winning kick. What a crazy game. Welcome to the NFL. The season is here, 2022. Let's go. And then they blocked the kick and the game's over. So, I mean, I know you know all this, why am I reliving this? It's therapeutic, I guess. Maybe it is. But I gotta say, that was a shitty loss. Saints fans started just going out of control after that. They're classless. They suck. The Saints fans showed their true colors after that game because they were, I mean, I get it. They were taking all the flags and waving them, going, rise up, Atlanta, rise up, Atlanta. It's like, okay, we get it. And then there was this one woman, this Saints fan, she was like, rise up as I'm coming out. She was like this elderly, like middle-aged woman. She actually looked like a very sweet person. And she was like telling everybody to rise up as we were walking up. And I was like, too soon, lady. Stop it. Stop. Too soon. And she kind of got embarrassed. She was like, oh, man. And I felt bad. She felt bad. But then, I immediately stopped feeling bad right afterwards because then I saw all of Saints Nation throughout Mercedes-Benz Stadium screaming, who dat? I even saw some, like, Falcons fans kind of, like, laughing with them, like, yeah, you guys did it. Good job. And I'm like, don't talk to them. No, this is not the time. And I get it. This is bad. My poor wife, she's, like, trying to, like, stay positive. But it's one of those things that whenever you're in the middle of, like, crumbling internally, the worst thing you could have is someone who really cares for you deeply to like try and like pick you up. I would almost rather, I would rather have somebody who's equally as damaged as me in that moment that I can just share in my misery with. But so my wife is very sweet. She was trying to be encouraging, but I was not having it. But yeah, we were walking out. It was who dat. It was all that shit. And then as I'm leaving the stadium, I even see these like these two guys in Saints jerseys, and we walked through the Home Depot like lot to leave. And it was just me and my wife. There was no one else around us. And these two Saints fans were like FaceTiming with this chick. And they turn the phone around and they go, look at him, look at him, look at him. And they're like pointing at me, like, look at the Falcons fan. And the woman on the FaceTime was like flipping me off. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. And then I was like, this, honestly, like, I probably don't want to mess with these guys because I'm like, I don't know. I was outnumbered, and I was like, I feel like this could get sketchy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get in a fight at a game or anything. Like, that's not, that's not how it's not how I live my life, people. That's not how I want to live my life. So, that sucked. And then, to top it off too, as we're leaving, and I'm sitting there just looking, and there's so many Saints fans everywhere. It's like, what is happening? Like, I couldn't even talk shit about them. I couldn't even like bitch about Saints fans because every time I did, there was one right next to me. Every stairwell we were on, every hallway we were walking through, every bridge we were crossing, we were surrounded by Saints fans. Couldn't believe it. I was like, seriously, like, where are my Falcons at? Like, what is going on? Like, I was one of like 20 Saints fans everywhere that I walked. That blew. And then, of course, to cap it all off, we, on our way home, we stop and pick up some Zoe's Kitchen, and we're back by our house at this point, and there's this little 16-year-old kid Um, and he saw our jerseys on, and he's like, "Oh, were you at the game?" We're like, "Yeah, it sucked." He's like, "Well, I'm a Saints fan." And I'm like, "Dude, this is really not the time." I was like, "Yeah, you and everyone else at Mercedes-Benz, buddy." I was kind of a dick. He was like 16. Sorry, dude. You seemed very nice. I kind of laughed afterwards, but I was, I think it got a little awkward. I don't know, whatever. So there was just kind of the cherry on top. So yeah, that was my experience at the game, and that was, kind of the from memory recap. To get more specific, I'm going to go through some of these player stats here, but I mean, really, Saints fans, I don't know, get a life. Go back to New Orleans, stay there, crawl in a hole, and maybe I shouldn't be too hard on you. Maybe this is like the only time that you get to have joy because you live in a mouth. You live in a piss-filled mouth, and that's what you are. You smell bad. You have no class. You're obnoxious. Don't like them. Don't like Saints fans. Outside of that context, and many of them I'm sure are fine people, but no, I'm not. I don't mess with them. I don't like them. Okay, moving on. About the game, let's go through some players because there were some players. There is a lot to I think be encouraged by with this game. So Marcus Mariota, like I said, he looked good. I mean, my conclusion with him is I'm like, okay, he's good. I don't know if he's going to be great, but he was really good. I think he's got plenty of good football left. His stats were 20 for 33 for 215 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He did have a rushing touchdown, but he seemed to have a lot of command throughout most of this game. Like the Falcons' offense, like we were clearly dominant in all three phases up until that last quarter, and even then it felt like a fluke because it was like they were just getting these long plays off, and so it was like, like we had the drives, we were having the sacks, we were having the stops, we were having the runs. We had over 200 rushing yards this game. Cordero Patterson alone, he had 22 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown, averaged 5.5 yards a carry. That dude's a beast. He's our best player on offense as of right now. Absolute stud. And I was wondering with him because last year, I think he's 31 or 32 now, but last year he kind of had that resurgence, and you were wondering, okay, is this one of those like great one-season pickups? Is he going to be able to keep up this pace? He's getting a little bit older, and especially considering that he's getting older, and we're using him a lot more. It's like, what's this going to look like? Is he going to do this again? And so far, that answer is yes. I was getting pretty hyped on Tyler Algier because I was like, okay, cool. They're going to have him be the feature back, and Cordero Patterson is going to be almost like our Taysom Hill, that kind of guy that you can plug and play wherever you want. But that was not the case. He was our feature back. And Tyler Algier didn't even dress out. Non-injury related scratch from the game, which is a huge development in my opinion because, he's coming in, broke all these records at BYU, was a stud in college, looks just like this powerful electric bowling ball on any collegiate film that you watch this guy on, and he was just a healthy scratch. Didn't make the cut, didn't dress. So what's that all about? Avery Williams was our third back, and he was a defensive back, converted running back who's returning kicks for us. He's doing a lot of stuff for us, but the fact that Tyler Algier didn't even dress out is keep your eye on that. What's going to happen there? That's not a good look. I mean, we drafted him. We didn't draft him that high, I guess, when you think about it. But, yeah, bummer. I was bummed to see that. At first, I thought it was injury related. Then when I found out it was non-injury related, it was that was a little surprising to me. So, receiving Drake London, he's already our number one guy. And it showed. He played great. He had 5 receptions for 74 yards. He had a couple of really just. He's a powerful dude. He's a big guy. He had one catch where he had a lot of yards after the catch, but then when he finally put his head down and hit somebody, he knocked the Saints defender's helmet off. I mean, he just hit him really hard, and yeah, he looked good. It was fun watching Drake London out there. Kyle Pitts wasn't a huge factor. He only had 2 catches for 19 yards. That'll change. Not worried there. A lot of different guys caught the ball, though. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different people got involved in the passing game. Defensively, like I said, defense had 4 sacks, and they just softened up. At the end of the game, they just softened up. It was that classic fourth quarter. All of a sudden, the opposing quarterback has all the time in the world in the pocket, and he just picked us apart. It sucked. So yeah, I don't know. What do you conclude here? I mean, I think, how do I feel about the Falcons? I do feel good because, look, they played better than anyone else expected. They played better than anyone expected against a Saints team that's much better, quote unquote, on paper. People are saying the Saints have got the roster to make a deep run, as is, and we took them deep. And it was a blocked kick that saved them the win, and really a blown defensive effort and missed offensive opportunity. Like, I feel more like the Falcons lost this game than the Saints won. So take that, Saints fans. Take that back home to your, shitty town. Falcons lost. You didn't win. You suck. I hate you. Arthur Smith is shutting down reporters again. This is fantastic. Love when he does this, because enough with this whole, like, we're the city that blows it narrative. Look, we killed that last year with the Bulldogs and the Braves. We're changing that. I get it. I understand. But all these reporters, they're constantly going like, well, what about the narrative? How do you feel like this Falcons team does this? And Arthur Smith's like, you guys shut up. Like, that's not like, credit to New Orleans, but we just one day at a time. And I get it. It's almost like, let me feel this way. The media needs to stop, because, like, I'm going to feel this way. The fans are going to go through those ups and downs, but it really is like, it's like you knew that was coming. You knew it was coming. First question by D-Led with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. That dude's been around for a while, but he drives me crazy sometimes. Very predictable questions from him. But yeah, and it wasn't just him. It was other guys too. And Arthur Smith just had to shut it down. And I'm glad that he did. Because, yeah, he was like, it's game one. There's a lot to be encouraged by. I think Marcus Mariota, like I said, he's good for now. I'm really interested to see how this quarterback thing's going to play out. The coach is like, look, Marcus is our guy. And he looked good. He played a good game. I think he's got a lot of good football left. I'm not sure about great, but he's good enough to win games. I'm convinced of that after watching him today. But yeah, keep your eye on that. If he has more timely fumbles in the red zone, fumbles in the fourth quarter on 3rd and 1, fumbling the snap, missing some passes, whatever. I mean, yeah, it's worth keeping your eye on. What sort of threshold is there between him and Desmond Ridder? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I do think Mariota is good, and I'm happy that he's here. The fans got to keep that energy, man. The Falcons fans, that is. I mean, with all the trash I'm talking about the Saints and how much they showed up, and that was real, but man, the Falcons fans showed up too. We were loud, and it was packed. It looked good in there. It's kind of deceiving, I think, when you're watching on TV, because a lot of those middle sections are the really high-priced sections. Those are pricey tickets to like be like on the 50 or between the 30-yard lines. And some of those seats will look empty. A lot of PSL holders, I'm sure, maybe couldn't sell them because they were price gouging the shit out of those tickets. But no, man, weren't many empty seats in there. It was loud. It was fun. The whole stadium did a great job with electrifying everyone. Trae Young came out to hype everybody up. Gucci Mane was in the house. And the DJ, who's kind of like emceeing everything, all the, just the hype, throughout the game, he did a great job. At one point, he had the entire stadium swaying left to right, and it was legit. It was fun. So, Falcons fans, keep it up. Keep that energy. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at all the home games except for one, because my friend's getting married out in Colorado in October. But the only game I'm going to miss is the 49ers game. Every other game, I'm going to be there. And I hope you will too, because that was a shitload of fun hanging out with you guys. And yeah, and we got the Saints out of the way quick, so that way we don't have to see their stupid faces again until next year. And last thing that I have as far as how do I feel about the Falcons is the defense has got to finish. We can't do that whole play a good game then get soft at the end. That's got to stop. But I was encouraged to see what they did for most of that game. So, moving on from the Falcons, crazy week in college football. I mean, I guess I'll go ahead. There's not too much to report really with the Georgia Bulldogs because they dominated Samford as expected, 33-0. A lot of people are saying that they didn't dominate as much as they should have, which I actually agree with that take. Stetson Bennett, this is a fun stat actually, with 7 minutes and 11 seconds left in the second quarter. He had already thrown to 11 different players, so he spreads the ball out like crazy. I do love what I'm seeing from Stetson, although I bet he wished that he played better. He was throwing pretty high, and there were plenty of plays that got away from him. I'm sure that he would agree with that. It was pretty obvious on film, but defense was great. Another great win for Georgia, and next week we start SEC play against South Carolina. Not sure what else. It's kind of weird with these games. Like, we got a couple of these coming up. We got Kent State soon, and, I don't know. Like, I watch those games. I like seeing the dogs, but, I just like checking in. It's almost like it's fun to kind of see an easy win, and you want to see our guys dominate, and I think for the most part they did, but it's it's going after the hype from the Oregon win. This kind of felt underwhelming. But go Dogs, another good win. Be curious to see if we jump up in the rankings because crazy week in college football. Alabama almost loses to Texas. They really should have, honestly. Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback, got hurt in the first quarter, so their backup, and he wasn't even healthy. He was limping for most of that game. But Alabama wins 20-19. But that was a close game against an unranked team, and I think Texas is better than what a lot of people were giving them credit for. Them not being ranked, I would imagine that would change, even though they lost. I mean, they played the number one team in the nation as well as they did and took them deep. So, yeah, that was a great game. Notre Dame loses to Marshall, so they're 0-2. Uh-oh. Started out, fifth in the country last week? Now they've lost 2 in a row. They lose to Ohio State, which, they're not going to drop too much from a loss like that, but then they lose to Marshall, so not sure what's going to happen to them after that. Kentucky beats Florida in a close one in the Swamp. I watched most of that game, actually. That was the primetime game, and it was honestly, it was weird, like, both defenses, I think, played better than both offenses, but I was excited to watch both of those quarterbacks. But none of those teams, looked that good. But I don't know if it's just because their defenses are that good. It's so weird early on in the season for both the NFL and college because you're just getting a feel for all these teams. What are their schedules going to look like as it plays out? But neither team impressed me. Neither Florida or Kentucky impressed me. Could have gone either way. Kentucky came out with the win. But didn't look scary by any stretch. Texas A&M loses to App State, and they fall from number 6 to 24. That was huge. And App State, if I'm not mistaken, they had a close loss to North Carolina last week. I think it was North Carolina, but it went deep. It was like 60-59. It was the score. It was crazy. That's not the exact score, but it was really high scoring, and it was like a heartbreaking loss for App State, but they almost upset North Carolina, then they come in and actually upset A&M. So App State, man, that's good for them. I mean, that's legit. They, but Texas A&M falls big time after that loss. So a few notable losses, and it's so funny, man, like even in the NFL, you watch the rest of these games, and you go into the season just with your frame of reference from the year before, and you just assume that the beginning of every year is just going to be a simple continuation of the prior year. And that's just not the case. Even with the Falcons playing as good as they did against the Saints, that's just not the case. Like people saying they're going to be a 4 and what's the math on that? 4-13 team. I don't know. I mean, unless the Saints are a lot worse than we think, that didn't look like a 4-13 team today. The Giants come away with the win at Tennessee, and the Giants, I mean, look, if you were just going off of how both teams ended last season, you wouldn't have thought that. So I love the start of football season for that because pretty much every narrative gets smashed right away. And new narratives get written. And, it's it's funny even when I reflect on the Falcons because it's like, okay, the narrative coming into this year was like, okay, we got a really high draft pick this last season. We're still not expected to be good. The media is writing us off. Arthur Smith is saying that they've already written their obituary. But then after a loss like that to the Saints, they're like, well, wait a minute. Why do you guys keep blowing it? Like they're now all of a sudden like, oh no, we're an amazing team and you just blow it. Like we would be amazing if you didn't blow it. It's like, wait a minute. Why do you guys care, media? Atlanta media specifically, like you're the ones saying that we suck anyways. So it's just kind of funny at how narratives shift as soon as the season starts because, yeah, every year is that much different. Think about the turnover in the NFL. Think about the turnover in college. Although I think college, honestly, is more predictable than the NFL. I really believe that. You've got your teams that are going to be good, and when one of them loses, it's much more shocking. But, I mean, the NFL is very unpredictable. A lot of staff turnover, and it just, yeah, man, it's cool. That's cool. I love football. Love football. So, okay, fantasy football, look, I know I've said a lot of times on this podcast, no one cares about your fantasy football team, and no one cares about mine, but I'm going to tell you some things from my team anyways. So, yes, I did draft Cam Akers. He laid a goose egg, 3 carries for 0 yards. Going into the game, he was said to be the lead back in L.A. That was not the case. Darrell Henderson was, and Cam Akers barely got a look. It sucked. He gave me 0 points. Really bummed out about that. I did draft Saquon Barkley, however, and he fell to me late in the round. I don't know what round I got him, but I got him in both my leagues because I'm like, it's Saquon Barkley. He's only 26 years old, or maybe 25. He's still so young. And I'm like, he was a generational talent. He was an injury away from being a generational talent just a year ago. So it's like, yeah, picked him up. He had 164 yards and a touchdown. Absolutely crushed it. Pat Mahomes, I got him in one league because, he was there, and I just was like, well, yeah, I picked him up. I got him early. I get it. Quarterbacks are deep. You don't have to get these guys so early, but I did, and he didn't disappoint. 365 yards with 5 touchdowns for Pat Mahomes. And I also got Justin Jefferson in one league. That was fantastic. He had 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. So football's back, man. Love it. Love looking at my fantasy app. Love NFL Red Zone. Love going to Falcons games. Yeah, it's good stuff. Trying to think if there's anything else kind of before I move on to the conclusion of the show. Shorter show for you today, but man, exciting stuff. We were going to have Zoc on today. He couldn't make it though, so hopefully we have him next week to do some football recap to give us a little more in-depth analysis and different takes. But I'm just going to end. Okay, I'm going to give a couple of these things real quick. The Braves lost to the Mariners, so we're now a game and a half back. It's okay. We're just keeping the Mets on the ropes. We'll be back. We'll be fine. Adrian Peterson got knocked out by Le'Veon Bell. If you haven't seen this, look it up. It's really sad, to tell you the truth. I don't know why I feel bad for it. They signed up for it, but you just think, like, man, these guys have been hit in the head so much already in their life. Now they're signing up to box each other, and Adrian Peterson got knocked out in a way where, like, his eyes crossed and his legs buckled. It was bad. He had, like, those baby deer legs, when he got hit, and that was ugly, man. That was not. I didn't really enjoy watching that. I didn't watch the fight. I just saw the highlight, as I'm sure most people did. Yeah. I mean, good for Le'Veon, I guess. I think he wants to kind of see what he can do in this area of his life, and hey, man, go for it. But Adrian Peterson, man, that was rough. Step aside, brother. You're good. No need for you to do anything else. You're still one of the baddest people on the planet with a football in your hand, but maybe not with a boxing glove on your hand. So, okay, moving on from that, concluding my day at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Falcons are going to be okay. Falcons Nation, rise up, continue to rise up, show out. Let's see it. Let's see the love. Saints, go back to New Orleans and just stay there for a while. You smell like pee. You're horrible. I hate you. Fan base is the most obnoxious fan base. I hate Saints fans more than Mets and Gators. I can say that, really confidently, especially after today. No class. You're classless. You're a classless bunch. No shame. And like I said before, it's all you have. I get it. It's all you have in New Orleans. You have the Saints. What else do you have? You have the basketball? No. LSU's up in Baton Rouge. You can't claim them. Whatever, man. I don't like them. I don't like them. So they need to go away and go away for a long time. So thankfully it'll be another year before we get to see their stupid, smelly faces back in Georgia. Okay, trivia answer for you. If you remember, the trivia question was, what was the Atlanta Falcons' largest margin of victory in franchise history? The answer is, in 1973, the Falcons beat the Saints 62-7 at New Orleans. So, let's just try and grab some sort of positive Falcons-Saints energy that we can. So hopefully they can carry that with them when they go to New Orleans later in the year. So go Falcons, go Dogs, go Braves, and go you. It starts we're starting a new week here. It's Monday. Go crush it, man. Go get your week off to an excellent start. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. Go make someone's day. It's easy to do. Doesn't take much. Maybe it's a compliment. Maybe it's a smile. But go out and do what Saints fans can't, which is be nice and be a good human being. Be a good person. They're incapable of doing such a thing. So we're going to do something different. And you know what? Okay, maybe I should... I don't know. This is the encouraging part of the show. Practice some forgiveness, maybe some love. You know what? I pray for their wellness. I'll just leave it at that. So, okay. See you guys on Wednesday. Have an awesome week. See ya.